Namaskaram, CAT 2025 aspirants. How are all of you doing? How much have you prepared till now? Just put it down in the comment section. Be positive. I want to achieve this score in the CAT exam and get to my dream XYZ school. Just put it down in the comment section to give yourself an assurance that this is what you're targeting. Now, this video will be about mocks. I feel this is an extremely important video at this stage of your preparation, uh, especially because the CAT exam is very near and that you have to have a lot of practice of the D-Day environment before the D-Day. And the most important part for that is the mock taking strategy. So even if this video gives you like a 10%, 20% boost in your scores, or at least in confidence, even if it improves your scores by 5%, it should be a worth it video for you. I'm Shavik Chatterjee. I scored a 99.43 percentile in the last year's CAT exam. I'm currently studying at IIM Udaipur. And I was able to do this because I followed my faculties, I followed my teachers, I understood what is the essence or the tips and tricks in gist of what I need to do to score well in mocks. And that is exactly what I'm going to share with you, the exact strategies which I personally implemented. And that should give you one, some insights, and second, some confidence that, okay, there's somebody who has applied these strategies and has made it work. So maybe it might work for you personally. So let's get this started. Let's get started with this video. The first thing which you need to do while giving your mocks, or rather before starting your mocks, is to calm down. And it's one of the most underrated and extremely important parts of your mock taking strategy. Because I think you would relate to it. I used to face a lot of anxiety clicking on that before clicking on that start button of the mocks. And the fact is that there is no two ways about it. You have to click the start button to get started with the mock. But the way to do it is to first calm yourself down using a few tips and tricks and then get started. How to do it? The first thing is to start breathing deeply. You breathe in with a large amount of air, and then you breathe out slowly. What this does, it is related to science. What this does is it calms your nerves and it makes you feel safe and okay, because when you breathe in really fast or when you are anxious, you start breathing in fast, and that tells your body that it is a fight or flight response that you need to have at the moment. But when you start breathing in deeply, you start breathing in slowly, it tells your body that it's all right, everything is safe, you're in a nice environment where nothing would happen to you. So you calm down. And when you calm down, you find it easier to start with the mock. That's one. Second is to ground yourself to your surroundings. What generally happens is anxiety takes over and you start overthinking the decision of getting started. And to calm that down, you need to ground yourself, get out of your mind, and start feeling things around you. Like you put your hand on the table, you put your hand on maybe the computer in front of you or the laptop in front of you, you put your hand on maybe the page, the rough page where you're going to write. You just put your hand and just feel your surroundings and concentrate on that feeling rather than concentrating on what's going on in your mind. What that does is it grounds yourself. So these are two important tricks or tips which genuinely helped me not only during mock taking but also on the D-Day. So I'm sharing this with you. Maybe this helps you. Try it out. The second thing is, or the second most important thing, when you get started with any of the sections in the mock paper, is to have 2 to 3 minutes to decide on the order of solving. For quants, it's a bit different, but for VARC and LRDI, you need to give yourself 2 to 3 minutes to decide what's the order of giving the questions. So you might find that in VARC, four RCs are there, or 5 RCs in some cases, and you might find the second and the fourth RC seems like an easier RC to attempt, or maybe an easier RC to read. And in most cases, when the RC is easier to read, the questions are also easier. That is what I have personally found. So if you find that there are two questions which are easier to read, then you need to basically mark it first that this is the first question I'm going to solve, this is the second one, this is the third, and this is the fourth, and that ideally takes a maximum of 3 minutes. So get that into habit. The same goes with DILR. You need to know what kind of questions um, are you very strong in. So you know you have solved a lot of questions of that particular type, and you're strong in that. So maybe pattern type questions where there's a seating arrangement, you might be strong in that. So you know that if that kind of a question comes, you're going to do it first. So know that and mark it out that this is the first thing I'm going to solve, this is the second one, this is the third one, and that is how you will attempt the paper. That's for LRDI and VRC. Now, what do you do for quants? We'll come to it. Let's go one by one, section by section. Okay. The first is about VRC. So you've spent those 2 minutes. You already know what's the order in which you're going to solve. Maybe you have not yet figured out the order of VAs, but you know the order of RCs at least in that 3 minute time. And then you get started. Now, suppose you come to such a state where you're not able to solve that one particular question which you thought was easy, you need to immediately get rid of it and go to the next question which you thought was second in line in your solving order. So that is extremely important in the CAT exam as well, because the CAT exam doesn't just test you on your skills, it also tests you on time management. Whether you know how to prioritize your questions or not. And that is one essential skill for CAT. You need not answer all of the questions, and that's a given, but you need to know how to prioritize your solving of the paper. So it's extremely important that if you are not able to solve something, switch from that question really fast and go to the questions which you can solve. Right? So that's about RCs. And the way to do it, the way I used to do it at least, was that after those 2-3 minutes of making the order, I used to go through at least 3 RCs, and then I used to solve 6 VAs. And then if there was more time left, I used to solve the remaining RC, 1 or 2 RCs, and then again come back to VAs. So that was my way of solving it. That was my pattern. That worked best for me in terms of accuracy and speed. This is what was working best for me. All right. And also focus on theta questions. Free marks, no negative marking. That's all for it. That's for VRC. Let's now get into DILR. And let me just tell you one of the most important tips for DILR. I guess two most important. Let me give you two most important. One is not to take how well you solved the VRC section to the next section of DILR. If VRC didn't go well, or if VRC went spotting well, don't take that feeling to the next section. Because what that essentially does is it prejudices your mind to think that maybe the paper is very easy or maybe the paper is very difficult. Which generally it's not on the both ends. Sometimes VRC is easy. Sometimes the DILR part is hard. Sometimes VRC is really, really difficult while DILR is very easy. So do not take that feeling to the next section. That's the first tip. And the second tip for DILR, and the most underrated tip, is don't rush. Don't rush the DILR section. Try to understand the question and slowly solve step by step. That is what is going to get you marks. Enough marks to get to 99.9 percentile as well. But don't rush. That is extremely important. Go step by step. Do not miss steps. Maybe with time, you are able to solve the steps faster, for sure. But don't miss steps. That's very important for DILR. And that is the whole strategy for this topic. Know what kind of questions you're good at, solve them step by step. All right, that's DILR. Coming to Quants. Quants has a bit different of a strategy, which you might know or you might not. So let me give you what strategy worked for me and works for a lot of toppers. So you start with the Quants section by going through the questions directly. You don't give those 2-3 minutes to see which to solve and which to not solve. You just go directly into solving the questions. You see if you can solve the first question, second question, third question, up to all of the questions. Now, how to do quants is that you need to go through 3 different rounds of solving. The first round, you only solve the questions which you are extremely sure about and also are short to solve. The second round, you go through the questions which you are extremely sure about but were a bit lengthier to solve. And the final round, you go through the maybes, where you know that, okay, this I might be able to solve it, but I do not know. That's a maybe. So that is a third round of solving. All right. That is the quant syllabus or the quants strategy. I'm sorry for you. So that is the mock taking strategy, guys, which works for not just which worked for not just me, but works for most of the toppers and all my friends who have come to this college or are there in other B schools. When I've asked them about the strategies that they've implemented, at least 90 to 95% of them have told me that this is the exact strategy that they themselves followed as well. So if it works for a lot of people, it might be the right strategy in some sense. So just try it out for yourself. Okay, just try it out. I think that is for the complete video, all of you, and all the very best. I'll keep coming with new videos to help you on your CAT journey, on your MBA journey. I'm Shavik Chatterjee. I'm in IIM Udaipur. If you manage to come into IIM Udaipur next year, I'll be eager to meet you. I'll be excited to meet you. All right. Namaskaram. Bye bye.